One thing that almost every man on this planet wants is the power to turn on a woman in seconds. While this is possible with certain women, men want to know what is the secret key that opens up every door. The question is often about whether there are a couple of universal steps that will work to turn on every single woman, or if they need to shift their approaches depending on who she is. Well, the great thing about modern science is that we have studied almost every part of the human body and mind. When it comes to women, turning them on is, in many cases, just a mental thing, and once you understand how they perceive attraction, it'll be much easier to get what you desire. But how does attraction work for women? How does attraction work to turn her on? Now, before we get into 8 of the most powerful tips and tricks that you will ever learn about turning women on, we first need to understand the basics of this attraction. You see, there are a couple of things that need to be in place for women to feel truly attracted to a man, and these things are generally the same across the board. In fact, it is very easy to know, and since all of them start with the letter P, you will remember them as protected, provided, and professing. You see, women will only be turned on when she feels that in the situation, she is safe. This means that you need to at least seem like someone who can protect her if things are about to go wrong. It will remove one of her stressors, which allows her mind to be open for more. The second is providing for her. You see, since women understand that if something should happen, they will need to bear the burden of bringing a child into this world, they also want to make sure that you are in a position to provide for her and her offspring. It is for this reason that the first date matters, and she gets to learn how much extra resources you have. Finally, women tend to feel very insecure very quickly, and this insecurity is often what holds them back in life. They might be too fearful to pursue someone, or they might be scared that the person will not like them. Women want a man to profess his attraction to her, and this gives her more self-confidence. But there is a catch. This should be done through actions and not words, as women don't care much for words, and they might only think that you come across as weak and insecure. Perhaps she is the one with the power, and she's the one who can dictate where the relationship goes. Now, these 3 things are very subtle, but they will give you a massive head start in seducing women. But what things do the secret 1% of men do that are an actual turn-on for women? Well, let's find out, but be warned that some of these things will take actual effort and hard work. Number 1, the way you look matters. The first one is actually quite self-explanatory, but the way you look does matter more than you were taught from a young age. If you think back to your life when growing up, you are forgiven for believing that women only care about your personality and that you can look however you want. The thing about women is that they also find certain men attractive, and in many cases, they will be almost immediately turned on by a man who is in shape. You see, looking good means that he has the self-discipline to do something with his life that could make him stand out from the rest of the crowd. Not only this, but he looks strong enough that she thinks such a man would be in the ideal position to protect her in life. If you are willing to put in the work to actually gain a nice physique and ensure that you truly look like you're strong and that you can defend someone, your luck with women will change without you having to do anything socially. Also keep in mind that someone working out in the gym has been proven by science to have a healthier life, and one thing women don't have the willingness to deal with is someone who is suffering from some kind of illness or someone who constantly needs some medical attention. The first thing that everyone who is looking to land their dream woman should do is consider heading to the gym and signing up. You don't need to look like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson though, but if you look like you're putting in an effort and investing in yourself, this will work. Most women don't even like the very muscular physique that people like The Rock have. Women have been shown to be more attracted to a healthy and athletic look, which is very much achievable for every man out there. If working out is not for you, perhaps start with a brisk walk of at least 2 miles each day. It'll definitely give you noticeable differences sooner than you think. But with this one sorted, there are a couple of easier tricks that should be ideal for almost everyone to do. Number 2, make her laugh. This is another one of the most common ways to turn a woman on, but if you manage to make her smile or laugh, more often than not, you will notice that she is constantly in a positive mood. There is actual science that backs this up as one of the best ways that you can use when you want to turn a woman on. By making her laugh with a couple of jokes, her mind automatically slips into a very positive state, which means she is more receptive to things. You see, the moment someone is in a negative state of mind, the single word that is constantly flashing in front of their face is the word no, and they will automatically default to saying no more often than not. If you want to make a woman laugh, you can choose from a variety of jokes, but if you can intertwine the traditional jokes with some playful flirting, or at least something that might be subtly insulting, you are able to gain much more. You see, subtly insulting a woman, but in a non-insulting way, you have learned the power of being tactful. If she does notice the subtle insult, she won't be as offended. In fact, she might even try to return the favor. When you have reached this situation, you now have some chemistry, but chemistry itself is built on tension. Now, the one minor little secret that everyone who wants to find their ideal partner needs to keep in mind is that you need tension. The tension keeps things exciting, or both of you will quickly get bored with the relationship. Ideally, your insult should be funny, but structured in a way that a rebuttal will actually insult you back. This means that no bulletproof insult will be used in these encounters. She needs to feel and understand how the balance of power is shifting, and much like hanging a carrot in front of a rabbit, you are now dangling yourself in front of her. By following this method, you'll notice that she will become far more intrigued, which also leads us to the next one. Number 3. Mystery is a massive turn-on. One of the biggest mistakes that men often make when they're trying to seduce a woman is telling her almost everything there is to know about him. Yes, this might build trust, and now she has you all figured out, but guess what? She's also figured out all of her friends, and this is often the reason why they will only remain friends. One of the most powerful things that you can do and add to your new charming and funny personality is mystery. You don't need to lie to her about anything, but don't always answer all the questions. You should definitely refrain from revealing the things to her about you that she doesn't ask. Once again, the idea is to make her wonder, and she should be constantly trying to figure out if you truly like her or if she should be afraid of dating you. According to science, this makes her wonder whether or not she should invest, which is far better than someone she knows everything about. Since women generally love mysteries, they will start chasing you, and this is when things like tension can play a big role. Now, this might have seemed much more complicated than it truly is, but it only means that you should talk less and reveal less about yourself. Adding jokes like she should come over and see for herself when she asks you something is another great flirting technique, and this once again sets the stage for her to take a risk. Women might seem like they're cautious, but for the most part they'd rather follow their hearts than their minds, and it is this that often makes them fall in love. In fact, many women would actually go as far as sleeping with a man in the hopes that this would make him feel comfortable enough to reveal everything about his life to her. So combine mystery with some jokes that might target her personality, and you should definitely be golden and lucky. Number 4. Your touches are important. If you manage to get her on a date, there will be plenty of opportunities for the both of you to actually touch each other. This could start as soon as meeting up and embracing one another as a way of greeting, but you need to know that the way you touch a woman is vital. And if you do it correctly, you will reap all the benefits. When you touch a woman, it should be quite subtle, and this means that it should not feel to her like you are making a move. Gently brushing her hair aside to whisper something in her ear is one of the most powerful seduction techniques that combines touch and verbal communication. Now, establishing touch can be done by touching her back, her arms, or sometimes her hands. These are the only spots that you are allowed to touch at first, and the rest needs to be earned. Some men suggest that your touch should be firm, but this is something men mess up, and it can scare the woman away when you are too direct with the touches. The best way to do this is to start with one of the above mentioned areas just to see the reaction and simply go with it from there. However, when things do start to heat up, you most definitely want to be the one turning her on. Here, you can follow her body and make your touches a little more intense. This intensity is what will actually turn her on. Number 5. Emotional connection. This one takes a lot of hard work, So we will keep this brief, but it is one of the most important parts of turning a woman on. You see, not all women are just focused on the physical like men do. Women generally want to feel safe, and they want a form of emotional connection that allows them to feel that there is something far deeper going on than what they can see. To form an emotional connection with a woman, you need to be willing to open up about something that you're also scared to talk about. Yes, this means that when you seek vulnerability, you need to be willing to also be vulnerable in return. However, you don't need to ruminate on this sadness, and it is better to mention it and then allow her to talk. It can even be better if you find something positive to bond about emotionally. If you have a mutual connection that the two of you respect, this will be a great way to create that sense of familiarity that she will seek. Now, this does not directly turn her on enough that she'll simply hop into bed with you, but it lays some incredible groundwork that'll make the above mentioned possible. Once this is possible, it should be a little easier to use your words to turn her on. Additionally, it gives you a baseline to determine exactly where she is emotionally. Your goal is to emulate this and try to match her at that same emotional level, especially when you want to make sure that she's actually turned on. Once you master the art of this, you will also have the power to understand emotional manipulation, but it is something you should avoid and might easily backfire. Number 6, nonverbal communication. You have probably heard about body language so much now that you could be seeing yourself as an expert, but this is one of the most important parts of turning someone on. Since creating some form of tension is vital to attraction, you can use body language to your advantage, much like she will do when she is swinging her hips while walking. Now, for a man, this can be a little more complicated, and it basically means that you should be able to do everything you are doing with confidence. Not only should you focus on being confident, but it could be very helpful if you can also flash a couple of flirty facial gestures while winking to her when possible. When this is done correctly, it creates intrigue, and it also shows that there could be some mutual attraction. However, the most powerful form of nonverbal communication that you need to learn is eye contact. By making eye contact, you seem more genuine, and this will be what she needs to make her decision of whether you are the type of person that she should be willing to date or even sleep with. Finally, you also need to know that body language needs to be combined with your actions, as this will trigger her intuition and create a perception in her mind. She needs to be able to visualize what could happen, and this will make her feel like you are the type of person that she can sleep with and you won't just walk away. Number 7. Building sexual tension or lust. The one big weakness for almost every person on earth is that of lust. You see, we all find ourselves drawn to lust, and this is why many people try to alleviate this sense of lustfulness by indulging in some bad habits on the internet. By combining the previous 6 tips, you are in a position of creating some lustful feelings in her mind, and when you add the power of directly communicating by implying lust, you can simply push her over the edge and occupy her mind fully. This means that when the moment arises and both of you feel comfortable, you should not be scared of actually talking about sexual interaction. This doesn't mean you should pry and try to figure out about her past or divulge your past. It could mean simply talking about fantasies. Women are incredibly imaginative, and when she feels comfortable enough with you to talk about such things, you can stimulate everything you want inside her mind by just simply making a few suggestions. Of course, you will need to understand how to flirt a little bit, as flirting is what initially sets up the sexual tension. Don't be afraid of creating scenarios in her mind and then simply cutting them off, as this sense of wonder is very powerful in her mind, and she will want to pursue these kinds of things. Keep in mind that it takes a ton of effort to actually do this, but the more you focus on it, the more experience you will gain. Eventually, you can create lust in her mind much faster, and this will also make you seem like a real catch. Keep in mind that whenever a woman does feel sexually attracted to you, all your flaws will automatically dissipate inside her mind. Number 8. Just be your confident self. Finally, we've already touched upon confidence, but this is one of the most powerful things that you have in your arsenal. You see, the reason why super successful men get women invested in them so quickly is because they have so much confidence that they simply don't care if they're rejected. Now, there's a fine line between confidence and being arrogant, and you will want to avoid the latter. But when you speak to others around you with confidence, she will see this. In fact, she will notice that those around you also tend to like you for how you do things. As counterintuitive counterintuitive as this might sound, you don't want to become the lone wolf, but rather the person that others want around them and actually like. You see, whenever a likable person walks into a room, people wonder what it is about this person that they like. By adding a layer of mystery to this, your mysterious confidence is the one thing that almost no one will be able to resist. Women might seem complicated, especially when you don't have any real experience, or you're just breaking into the dating game. However, you'll quickly realize that they are nothing more than simply people, and that you can just be yourself. Now, if you have her invested, you need to know which touches could make the experience even better. So make sure to check out our next video on the most lustful spots that turn her on instantly.